Hi my salty pecans, and welcome back to my channel. And if you're new here, hi, my name is Pamela, and on today's video we are going to be talking about one of my favorite epiphytic plants, and that is not this plant but this right here. This is my beautiful Rhipsalis Paradoxa. It is one of the favorites, but it is also a very fragile and sadly on the list to be extinct. So if you're interested in hearing more facts about this plant, then keep on watching. So welcome back everybody. Alright, like I mentioned, the Rhipsalis Paradoxa is an epiphytic plant, and if you did not know what an epiphyte is, epiphytes are essentially just plants who attach themselves to others as support. They're non-parasitic, so they don't absorb, use any nutrients from the host plant. All they do is just use them as support to climb up and reach the sun, because they don't really have that structural support that some plants, for example, if you look at this is one of my least favorite plants ever in my collection, and this is my mother of thousands. I have 1,000 of them, and as you can see, this one is able to support itself and climb upwards. These also tend to have aerial roots, but most plants do that. So as you can see, the Rhipsalis Paradoxa is a hanging, vining, climbing plant versus one that is just linear and straight upright. The Rhipsalis Paradoxa in the wild can grow up to be at least 6 feet long, which is crazy. So when you think about it, I'm 5'6", right? If I add another 6 inches, this will literally be like a 6 foot tall plant on me, and that is how long the Paradoxa can grow to be. There's one particular social Instagrammer, Jamie's Jungle. I'm gonna try to add a photo of his lovely, just beautiful Rhipsalis Paradoxa. That was the first place that I seen it, and since then I always wanted a Paradoxa. I would love for my Paradoxa to grow and be large like his. So speaking of me wanting my Paradoxa to be large like his, I have gone ahead and propagated a few strands of this plant, but we will get into propagation a little bit in this video. The Paradoxa is such a beautiful plant. Like I mentioned, it's an epiphyte, and it has these twisting, turning sort of foliage, these chain links, and it's like in and out twisting. It's not just one type of shape going down. It is, but it's, you know, it's like left, right, left, right, left, right, left, right, left, right. It's so pretty. The Paradoxa is endemic to Brazil, which means it is only found there. It is native. It does not grow anywhere else in the world. You can only find the Rhipsalis Paradoxa within the lovely jungles of Brazil. Unfortunately, the fact about Paradoxas is that it is an endangered plant, and it is currently on the list to go extinct within the next few years because of habitat loss. We know that the jungles, for example, last year, the years before, there were many jungle fires burning in Brazil. So the Rhipsalis Paradoxa, unfortunately, since it is endemic to Brazil, to the Brazilian forest, the Brazilian jungles, it doesn't grow anywhere else. So the loss of its environment, the loss of its habitat, like the rhinos, it will not be found, you know, elsewhere in the world. So do cherish the ones that you have, because there's nothing we can do once its natural habitat is gone. What I love about Rhipsalis is that it has such a large variety of different plants, a large variety of different sorts of foliage. The Paradoxa in of itself has these chain link twisting curls. You have the Bacifera, which looks like little spaghettis. You have the Pilocarpa, which is like so fuzzy and furry like a little old man. So Rhipsalis in general, just that family is just so amazing and so diverse. If you're someone who wants to live in a jungle, live in a rainforest, and you think, oh, I need to have plants, yes honey, that is very true. But it's not just one sort of plant, not just tree-like plants that grow up, or you know, viney sort of foliage like plants like these. You need a little spaghetti. You need some Rhipsalis that are hanging down from the top and just vining down. Do you know, like, okay, so growing up in Haiti, my grandma had these curtains. So in order to enter one room from another curtain, you had to go through these little beaded wooden curtains. That is what I think of when I think of Rhipsalis. It's like these little beaded wooden curtains that you have to go through. It's like, oh my gosh, there's so many plants in my way. Oh my gosh, I live in a jungle. That is what Rhipsalis makes me feel like. Also, Rhipsalis, if you did not know, like many plants, they plant either flowers or they fruit. Rhipsalis is a plant that flowers, so there's so many different flowers depending on the type of Rhipsalis that you get, but they're so beautiful. If you are limited on floor space or shelf space, again, a Rhipsalis is perfect. I have my Rhipsalis, mine is currently just like on a plant stand, but if I wanted to, I can actually just add it onto one of these, I forgot what these are called, the macrame hangers. You can add them onto a macrame hanger and have them vining down from the top. You can have some sort of shelving contraption where you have them sitting up and just hanging, vining down. Again, they are just hanging, chainy, beautiful plants that everyone needs to have in their collection. And you're also helping them because by you owning and preserving them, even though in its natural habitat it is not there, it is decreasing, it is endangered, we can keep the plant alive by, you know, having a piece of it living in our home and eventually, hopefully, passing it down to our children, who hopefully one day can go back to what is left of the Brazilian rainforest and plant them and just have them, you know, vine back up. But I know I'm really like dreaming huge, like, ah, what is it, what is the song? I feel like this is the Jonas Brothers. I've been to the year 3000. So like in the year 3000, your great granddaughter is doing fine because she went ahead and planted your Rhipsalis Paradoxa. In regards to care, like pretty much every other plant, I find that soil, watering, and lighting is very important. It's very crucial in regards to the maintenance and health of this plant. So soil wise, keep in mind that this plant is a jungle cactus. It is not a desert cactus. So, you know, it's jungle cactus. It is not desert cactus. So you think of the environment. This plant does not like waterlogged, wet, soggy soil. It's, you know, it's somewhere that's humid, but it is not a grounded plant. It is a epiphytic plant. It is climbing, so it absorbs moisture from its surrounding. It gets a little bit of water every now and then that just drains and runs and trickles down its, you know, entire body. So provide that your soil mixture is airy and well draining. This plant, if overwatered, is very sensitive and will most likely die because of just root rot. These roots are so fine, they're so thin. If I show you one, you see how thin and fine these roots are. This is not something that wants to stay in soil for a long time. It doesn't want to stay in wet soil for a long time. It needs to breathe because that is just how naturally in nature it lives. So after you water the plant, let it dry out. Don't rush to, you know, water it again. Give it a good amount of time for the soil to dry out. When I tell you this is very light, this is very light. When picking a pot, like I have mine in a terracotta pot, I would recommend you can use a terracotta pot for your Rhipsalis because that lets, you know, the soil aerate a little bit more versus something that's plastic or it's glazed that holds in moisture. In regards to lighting, bright indirect lighting is the best. Again, this is a jungle cactus. This plant most likely lives on the jungle floor. When we talk about the jungle, you think of these trees that are like hundreds and hundreds of feet tall, and we talk about Rhipsalis being like 6 feet tall. So it's not something that gets the brightest of light in the jungle. It gets that damp, that filtered sunlight, so you don't need to give it the brightest light. It might burn, be careful, but observe how the plant does in your environment. I found some plants that do really well for me in northeast lighting, does really well somebody in southwest light. So observe your environment, observe how the plant is doing. If you see, you know, in a day or two it's not doing well, then obviously move it to somewhere else, you know. But this is how my plant is living in my home. So remember, like I mentioned, this is a jungle cactus. Don't overwater it. Give it light, airy soil in order for the roots to breathe after you water it, providing it with enough light. It is a outdoor plant. It is a jungle plant. Every plant essentially is an outdoor plant, but you don't need to give it the brightest light. It can do with some, you know, it can do fine being maybe a couple feet away from the window. It doesn't have to be plastered boom wham bam against it like mine is. If you want to fertilize your cactus, this is an epiphyte, so epiphytes are fine with foliar feeding, so you can use actually some orchid fertilizer for this. You can dilute an all-purpose fertilizer also to feed this plant, but I recommend you feed all your plants, because do you want to drink water all your life, or do you want some nutrients? You want a little bit of, you know, seafood with your meal, you want a little bit of meat, some protein, some rice. Feed your plants. And lastly, in regards to propagation, I find that this plant is extremely easy to propagate. I have it propagating here inside of perlite, and it's rooted so fast, so easily inside of here. Some have rooted faster than others because they were in here longer, but I decided to prop a few more pieces, and those are waiting to do their thing. I also have a Paradoxa that's rooting inside of water right here, this cutting right here. As you can see, it's rooted, happy. I had other ones that were rooting in here, and I've gone ahead and just given them away to people who want them. But Rhipsalis Paradoxa is so easy to root in many different ways. You can even go ahead and just stick it in soil because of these little light airy roots that the Paradoxa does have. It makes this plant so easy to root in so many different forms. So yeah, my salty pecans, those are all of the information I want to share in regards to this beautiful plant, the Rhipsalis Paradoxa. Again, this is an epiphyte. It's endemic to Brazil. Currently, it's on the endangered list because of loss of habitat. If you do get your hands on one, do take very good care of it, because we never know, one day this plant will no longer be out in the wild, and who knows how we can conserve the species. So with that being said, my salty pecans, thank you so much for watching this video. If you learned anything about the Rhipsalis Paradoxa, then go ahead and give this video a thumbs up. If you also liked it, don't forget to subscribe, join this little kooky family because we're pretty awesome here, and hit the notification bell to be notified every time I upload a new video. And I will see you on the next one. Also, don't forget to follow me on all my other social medias at HauzPlant, HauzPlant. I am on TikTok, HauzPlant, Instagram, HauzPlant, and yeah, Twitter. I'm also on Twitter, so check me out on Twitter. I will see you all in the next one. Thank you so much for watching this video, and let's get growing.